Hello, if you have somehow stumbled upon this video, welcome to my little channel. My name is John, or if you know me from Final Fantasy games like 14 or 11, Sorafin, that's my handle for those. I usually just post little parts from games for people to watch. And I actually hate to be making a video talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in a negative light, but I care too much about Final Fantasy as a whole to not talk about it. I've been a fan of the series since 1997, when I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time. I've played through 7, 8, 9 and 10 loads of times. I then played Final Fantasy VI when it became available in the UK. Waited ages for that. I then played Final Fantasy XI quite a lot. I did begin Final Fantasy 12 and 13. Didn't particularly enjoy them, so I didn't finish them. I played Final Fantasy 14 quite a lot. I didn't even try 15, and I might mention that. And I've played 16. Loved it. Thought it was great. Before I get to how I feel about the dialogue letting the game down, I just want to say well done to Square Enix for making such a fantastic game. I had really high expectations, and as a whole, they exceeded them. I can't praise it enough. The battles, the music, the scenery, the sounds, and the world they created, all of them are fantastic. And as a whole, it probably was one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. I'll perhaps make a video on the things I enjoyed after this, because it does deserve praise. Square Enix do deserve praise for lots of things that they've done in this game. I just wanted to get this dialogue out of the way. Before talking about it, I just want to say it's merely my opinion. If you've not played the game, I recommend you do buy it and play it for yourself before listening to anything I have to say, or anyone else for that matter. Far too many people allow the opinions and words of others to become their own, and I think it's partly to blame for how such ugly dialogue ended up in Rebirth to begin with. Alright, so for the most part, the dialogue is fine, and sometimes it's very good. The exchanges between Dine and Barrett were fantastic. That was really good writing, and I was there in them moments with them. Even the changes of events I was fine with, and the dialogue added to that, so well done to them there. Sadly, there are parts in the game where the words being spoken destroy the escapism Rebirth has to offer. And if I have to describe the bad dialogue, I'd have to say it feels like it wasn't written by adults for adults. It feels like ugly reality TV mixed with repugnant replies that you see on Reddit and Facebook and things like that. I'll just use a few little examples here. At one point, Yuffie describes the Turks and Rufus' relationship as believing they were BFFs. Oh, that sounded horrible. One character's saying hella. Another one after a card game saying that they've got to learn to take the L. I'm sure I heard one background character say the word smut. These are just minor examples, but each time it's horrible on the ears. They're just lazy written lines from the English translators. I don't imagine they're at all like that in Japanese. And there's far too many cliches used in this. Far too many. One of the big moments in the game is when Cait Sith returns to the party in Chapter 13. This is after his little betrayal thing. He's going to save the entire party in what is an intense and exciting scene. Even if you played it before, the original that is, you're engaged in the moments and you're worried again for the characters. And Cait Sith says a couple of things, he's like, get out of here, and leave the lift into him, and that's fine. And then he says, I wish I did nae skip leg day. And just that one line completely ruined the scene. And not just that, the entire build-up, everything that led to that moment is entirely ruined. Because I was no longer in this world with these characters. I was outside thinking how terrible and out of place that one line of dialogue was. It wasn't written by a true writer. It was a cheap copy of an overused phrase used on social media. Like, I'm sure it was meant to be funny and probably one or two people giggled, but it wasn't funny. It was horrible. And also, spoiler, Reeve is saying that. What? Why? How or why would he be talking about bloody leg day? This one bad line has stayed with me since the 2 weeks that from when I've completed it. And there's far too much of this nonsense in the English version of the game. Aerith uses the term, let's take a selfie. Because of course she does. This is a common word in our world, and it's only a recent thing. It doesn't fit into the game, it doesn't fit into the world of Rebirth. If she had merely said, let's take a photograph of us, then it would have been meaningful. It would have felt wholesome. Selfies are just a trend of our time, and not theirs. At one point, Kate Sif talks about winning the information war. What in the blue hell did that have anything to do with anything? It just felt so random, and you're just like, oh man, is he just talking about the Biden-Trump election, or is he freaking supposed to be talking about the world that he's in? And he says that to Vincent, who's just bloody woken up. I can put a bet that the majority of the translators are young, because the dialogue in the game doesn't feel real. It feels like it was written for 16-year-olds in California. It's writing from people who have lived a life online instead of a real one. It stands out so badly. When Cloud was visiting the Crow's Nest on a side quest, you're trying to listen to what they're saying, and then you hear preach in the background from a girl. And I didn't hear just that word then. I just heard an idiot re-quoting a political tweet because they've got nothing important to add. I'm supposed to be immersed in this world, but I'm not. I'm hearing the translators' social media timelines. There's also too many references to pop culture which take you out of the moment too. When I was playing the original game, I never once thought, oh, that's a line from such and such. In Junon, Roche is quoting Maximus's line from Gladiator. And he's in the exact same setting, one-on-one battle. He shouts to the crowd, "Are you not entertained?" And it ruined that moment. I know this line is from Integrate 2, but Yuffie copying Muhammad Ali's "float like a butterfly, sting like a bee" quote. Copying isn't great art. It's just copying. It's cheap. When you read or watch things like Lord of the Rings, the original Star Wars, Harry Potter, A Song of Ice and Fire, well, Game of Thrones to most of you, they're all great works. None of them copy with their dialogue. They're confident within their own world. They want you to be in that world with them. If you're making these pop references, it's because the writers lack imagination and originality. I've got to say, Rebirth isn't the first game in the Final Fantasy franchise with ugly language. I'm not talking about the accidental dialogue from 7 through till 9, but I remember watching a gameplay video for Final Fantasy XVI. I wasn't too keen on how the characters looked or sounded, but I was probably going to overlook that. And then I think it was an Adamantoise appears, and then I heard one of the characters say, OMG. Like, he said that. Those freaking letters. And I decided right at that moment in time I was going to stop that video and never play that game. I wasn't going to look up anything else from it. I didn't, and I haven't, because it's ugly. Also screw Stand By Me being used in that game. Again, ridiculous decision. It's one of my favourite songs of all time, but the escapism is broke when you do crap like that. If it was up to me, I would actually get the dialogue removed from the game, patch it out, and just get the voice actors to record new lines, better lines. Because the ugly dialogue is disrespectful to the game and also to the English language. I'm sure there were a few, well, that's how the kids speak these days, being said about, during the writing process. Wrong. It's how idiots and reprobates talk. I don't think that that translators need replaces, and I don't want to look them up. I hate witch hunters and stuff like that. That they're capable of doing a decent job. There are many parts in this game that prove that they can. They just need to separate their work from their office social bubbles that they've lived in their entire lives. It felt like I was listening to Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande fans talking at times. I don't even know what they actually sound like, but that's what I imagine it to be. And it sounds terrible. I can't actually bring myself to play through the story again. I've played it through hard mode, and the reason why I can't play through the story mode again is because the bad lines of dialogue completely ruin it. And at the moment, I actually still really, really, really enjoy this game. But if I play it again, hearing that dialogue again, I'll probably end up hating it. I have taken the time to write to Square Enix of how I felt about the English writing. It was probably for nothing, because I imagine the North American customer complaints department, they probably loved it. But sadly, I think it is the worst dialogue I've encountered in gaming. And that includes Barry's lines from the original Resident Evil game. His, hey, what is this? And, just a second. Maybe you, the master of unlocking, can use it. Oh, that was terrible. But I actually admire that more so than the this ugly dialogue in this game. Sorry, I'm trying not to swear. I don't want to be swearing about it. In my letter of complaint, I did actually tell Square Enix that after Part 3, I shan't be buying any more Square Enix games, because this is the direction that they've chosen, unless I learn Japanese, which I've actually tried to begin. I actually know what kanji is and the differences, and how they pronounce words. It's a start, but that's what I'd have to do to enjoy Part 3, which is just bloody shame, because the voice actors in the English version are incredible. I can't praise them enough. They are amazing. I'm jealous of them, but in a very good way. I expected to dislike them before remake, and I really, really like them. They're all amazing, and they just put a smile on my face because of how good they are. Well done to them. I can't wait to start talking about how good they are. But sadly, I can't continue to play games if this is the language they used. I looked at the demo for, or just gameplay for Forspoken or whatever it was called. Gameplay looked alright, but the language in that game was, it was laughable. I couldn't play a game with a character talking like that. Like hell. Ugh. But that's the route. I'm sure it caused some parts of Square Enix to close down. Start listening to your fans. We're not complaining because we dislike you. We're complaining because we want to save you from yourselves. Crikey. I've entirely stopped watching new films and TV shows because of how bad everything has become in Western entertainment. and it's a shame that wrong decisions have been made for this game. Anyway, I'm still going to buy Square Enix merchandise. I've got quite a lot, around my room. It's actually inspired by Seventh Heaven from Remake. And I want to continue to support the Japanese side of Square Enix, just not the English. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. If you don't agree with what I've said, that's fine too. Like I said, everything is your own opinions. These are just mine. Maybe in time I'll have a replay again to see if my opinions change. I don't think they will. I think they'll perhaps only get worse. I'm going to play the third part regardless because I want to. These are characters that have been with me since 1997, and it sucks to say it, but at the time, these characters were there for me when real people weren't. And I want to finish the journey with these characters, and I can't wait for part 3. Unfortunately, the translators, the subtitles, I can't play in Japanese and have exact translations. I have to have what the English characters say. I wish we had an option where we had the Japanese direct translators. I wish that was an option. I really do. Because then I could just have the Japanese voice actors with true lines of dialogue. If I could play the game like that, then I'd be ecstatic. But until then, I won't be. Anyway, it's Easter tomorrow in the UK. I hope you have a nice Easter. Thank you for listening. I have no idea why. My voice is killing me now because I don't usually talk for this long. And take care. Maybe see you again.